Everybody, welcome back, and now we are going to learn a little bit more about the Adobe Premiere Creative Cloud interface, and let's take a look. So basically what we're going to do right now is we're going to use a lot of the tools within the toolbar. So we all know the selection tool, and the selection tool allows us to move a clip at our will. We can arrange this clip on any of the video categories, we can put it on its own level, all sorts of great stuff, and I'm hitting Command Z. Some of the cool tools that you may want to use are your track tools. Now your track select tools will allow you to grab everything that's from the right over of the sequence you grab, so you can see, and move it as a block. And that's going to be really helpful if you need to open up some space for another image or a clip. Track backwards does the same thing. It just moves everything, and obviously we don't have much space here to work with that. So that's going to be very, very important. The edit tools we will kind of deal with. You can see the ripple edit will allow us to kind of break into the clip. Also, you can see where it was versus where it used to be. That's really nice. And we have a rolling edit tool as well, which will allow us to kind of move the clip, and then the clip that was in front of it, add time to that clip as well. So it shows us the transition between the two clips. The rate stretch tool, that will allow us to add more time to the clip. So if our clip was cut using the ins and outs here, as we all saw with the sub clip that we had made originally, it will allow us to add more time with that. Underneath that, we have our razor cut tool, which uses the project time pick or wick pick to act as the cutter, and allows us to make some nice quick cuts to footage. All of these tools will be very useful in your workflow. Again, the slip tool will show us the transition before and after, and we have very fine-tuned cut clips at the moment, so you can see it will kind of change the starting point a little bit for us as we go. We have a pen tool and a hand tool, which we'll use in other facets as we go forward. But overall, these are our main tools. And you can see my zoom can either be done with the plus/minus keys on your keyboard, or simply by grabbing this bar at the bottom and zooming out. So now that we have a nice edit, let's go ahead and let's play with some transitions. So the first transition I want to do is I want to make a transition between these awesome clouds and this seagull. So to do that, I'm going to put my cursor here, and I'm going to insert a transition. Now, I could do it traditionally here by adding clips, inserting, removing effects, doing all this stuff. But what I'm going to do is hold Shift and D, and what that's going to do is add a fade in and fade out. Now, with that said, and let me use my move tool here, I can double click and I can change the rate of that transition. For instance, I would like maybe a 2-second transition from it fading to black. And now I have the cross dissolve, so Shift D is in dissolve. Will be a nice fade out, and let's do that to this clip here. So we'll select the clip, hit Command D, and double click. Let's do a 2-second fade up just to keep it uniform. And now we'll have a fade up. So now what you can see is we have a really nice little transition here. And if we wanted to, we could use some of the tools we just discussed and take this group and kind of play around with them a little bit. So again, I can make sure I'm grabbing the right tools here. It does not want to grab, so I'll do it the old school way. Just hold Shift and grab my clips, and maybe do a little overlap now. And now we have a nice cross dissolve, so let's take a look at that. Great clip, good balance to it. All right, so those are some ways to do it. And all of these things that you see can be found up top. And if you're ever confused about how to add a transition or what a hotkey is, most of Adobe's products under their CC kind of panel up here has a keyboard shortcut option. And then this way you can kind of go through and see what shortcuts do what, and if you want to make your own shortcut, you can make one in here as well. So we have that nice little fade in and fade out. Let's go ahead and let's hit Shift D again. We'll add it down here. And we'll just add a little kind of end crop sequence. So double click. And we'll do like a 3-second fade to black. And that will be nice. So that gives our beginning, end, middle, and so forth. So we have a little jump cut, we have a cross dissolve, and then we have a simple fade to black. Now, when you're ready to start dealing with exporting your clip, one thing we have to remember is always save. Sometimes I do a save as, so I save as an iteration of the file. And what we're going to go to is we're going to go to our export media, or we can simply hit Command M. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my export media, and this is going to do a few things. First thing is it's going to give us a preview window. Now, as you can see, it says scale to fit. So we have our source and we have our output. We want to look at our output. And we also have a time slider that will allow us to see our video. So I'm going to start it at the beginning, and we can do the entire sequence. So if I do that, it will play through, and this is going to take a little bit of time to play through. And that seemingly is the start or the front or bottom. We can do in and outs that we set within here, because we can set in and out points within our timeline as well as reference points. Or we could do the whole work area, which is the visible area that we see on the scene. I think our 43 seconds is nice here, so the entire sequence works. Again, there is multiple ways that we can set in and out points if we choose to do so. So that's very, very important. We want to make sure that we, are playing the right clip. So very, very important there, and so forth. So let's go ahead and look at some options. First, we want to typically I tend to match sequence settings, and that will give me a very similar clip to what I downloaded. If you don't want to match the settings, we can set this up for maybe YouTube. I'm going to do H.264 compression, and we're going to match our source, meaning it should be in the same relative aspect ratio, and that's very important. And I hit export, and it will export your clip. Now, that's kind of the down and dirty way of doing it. If I wanted to change more settings, here, for instance, like the output name, I could change it there. I can also see the size. The estimated file size is going to be 53 megabytes. So you can see by changing some of these settings, you will lose quality, but we will also hopefully have less of a compressed clip. Now you can see sometimes it doesn't work. It's just way overdone. We can change the bit rate. We can get it down to 16. And we can kind of see everything up there, and that looks good. Kind of just do a quick scrub through. Looks awesome. Cool. All right. So at this point, if I could get my cursor to stick back, there we go. I don't need really audio here, so I can take that down. I can set, again, any of these presets. So I know mine is HD at that point. It's going to be 165. The best one seemed to be the high bit rate. That would probably give me the best option. And I'll take a few megabytes off since I don't have audio. And I can go through my bitrate settings, all sorts of stuff. So I can start playing around with these settings to try to get a lower file size. That doesn't always happen. We can use previews. We can set start and end points. We can put metadata into this clip. We can even add captions to this clip as well, because there's a caption option in here to work with. We can even have it upload to our YouTube provider as we export, and that's a really cool little effect that they have. So again, if you like any of these, you can save them as presets, but like I mentioned before, we're going to simply hit export. We're going to let it run through, and in about 1 minute we should have a nice clip that is exported into where we've, hopefully our project window where we've saved it. You can see here it's going to just go into my desktop, because when I did the output name I didn't set a destination. So 20 more seconds here, we'll let that run through fully just to show you that it works. And we can also import into a project if we had an After Effects file, or if we wanted to put it in into another Premiere project to kind of get it going and working. There we go. That looks great. And we have our awesome clouds video. Let's see. Pretty good quality. Nice playback. Good fade. I would say overall a successful video. Nice fade to black. Perfect. Looks good. And let's check the file size to see if it matched. 52 megabytes, so pretty right on the money. MPEG-4, which is H.264. That would be ready to go to YouTube, and you would be ready to kind of work on your next project. So hopefully this has helped you understand how to do an brief export. There's so many more options we could go over, but this is a brief export here, and gave you a little bit more idea of the tools and the toolbars that are at your disposal here in Adobe Premiere 2015.